What up, you guys? Happy full moon in Aquarius. This is Aquarius is a masculine fixed air sign. So this full moon is going to be having a particular potency for the other fixed signs, which are Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. So this is like, there's a lot of tangled astrology going on right now, and rather than get into the cumbersome job of unpacking that, I'll leave you to go check in with Chris Corsini and Chani Nichols for the details of the astrology. I'm just gonna kind of channel through like the general energy and messages that have been coming up recently, like leading us into this, which is all really interesting because I read something in posted by the Kabbalah Center today that pointed out that today was a holiday. It's a window of like an opening in energy. And it's particular to the full moon of, I know that we are in the full moon of Aquarius, where the moon is in Aquarius, but the Kabbalistic calendar refers to this as the full moon of Leo, in reference to the fact that it's the full moon within the month of Leo. So what that is and what that means is that the month of Leo is like ruled by the sun. And so that is like the fullest expression of the light of the sun, of the upper realms. When we have the full moon and the sun, the moon and the sun are like facing one another. They're united in the sky so that the vessel, the moon, is filled with the light, completely full and illuminated and revealed. The light is completely revealed. So the potency of like the sun being in Leo at its full strength and full capacity, filling the moon to its full capacity, is like this particular energy that's offering us a chance, because we are like the moon represents us. We are the moon. We are the vessel that has no light of its own. And so our vessel, our light wanes and waxes throughout the month, throughout the conditions, throughout our connection to the light. The light of the sun is always emanating. It is eternal. So the fact that the sun and the moon are in their fullest, the sun is in its fullest expression while it's joined with the moon right now, there's an opportunity for us to like time travel, timeline jump, quantum jump, and connect with that higher self that we are, that's in its whole perfected state, living in that higher destiny right now. And we have the chance to connect to that self today and borrow that light and start to establish that consciousness as our current consciousness and our current reality, which I found profound, because not even being aware of that, all of our messages recently have been leading us in this direction. I even referred to, I can't remember what post it was or video sometime recently, where I was making a point that this Aquarius full moon is almost like the hard launch of the new self. And so we have been going through this like transformational process, and we've been in this transition period for the last few years. And so it's happening to each person individually in their own rhythm and timing, but like things are going off, climaxes are happening, tower moments, like things are coming to completion, things are changing, things are ending, things are beginning. And so it feels like we've been preparing to jump into this new timeline for like 2 to 3 years now. Ever since I started this channel, it was like this, when I started the channel, it was like the beginning of that period that was almost like a layover at the airport. And so it's like we've been jumping onto these timelines for the last couple of years because we've been growing and transforming at an accelerated rate. And so that's been changing our current reality. And it like the stability hasn't set in yet. So growth hasn't been showing itself necessarily. we've just been feeling the impact of the intensity of it all. So this year has been like the phoenix, that dies over and over again and rises from the ashes. We're like coming out of an ash phase right now, and we're beginning to be reborn. And so what's happening now is that we are in this Aquarius full moon. Aquarius is like, it's an air sign. It's all about intellect and thought and the mind and the way that we perceive and think about things and our mindset. And so Aquarius is the most unique and original. They are kind of rebellious, they're revolutionary. They don't have to go with the crowd. They don't have to go with the established norms, the established institutionalized thinking. They can break free and be a free spirit, a free thinker, and have their own sort of perspective of life. And then they challenge life's norms. They are the inventors. They are the people who are like the Elon Musks and people like that, who can imagine a world that the mundane person can't yet envision yet. So that aspect is coming out. And so we have this opportunity right now. This full moon is launching that moment where we're like connected more to our higher self than ever. We've been trying to connect with this higher self and draw this higher self in so that we can evolve and elevate our souls and start to get closer and closer to that timeline that is a depiction of our fullest expression of our potential, or at least the next step in our expression of our potential. So it's like this higher destiny is laid out for us. And then we have kind of like the hand of fate that we're dealt when we're born. And so what happens is we've got the fated path and the destined path. And so when we're born, we have our natal chart, and it kind of lays out like, okay, these are the challenges in your life. These are the strengths. These are your talents. These are the key pivotal plot point moments that are unavoidable. These are lessons that are going to play out. Depending on how you traverse this journey will be indicative of how close you can get to that higher destiny. That God's plan for you isn't a guarantee. We have to like meet halfway and become that person and live that life and take those steps. And so if we do nothing to help ourselves or to grow or to change, then we will be pretty much living out that fated path that we see in our natal chart. However, we have the sovereignty and the authority, the ability, or we can claim that authority to rise above our natal chart, above the astrology. But that is part of becoming a cosmic sovereign being. And that is when we're awakening to our consciousness and we're not just reacting to all of the circumstances around us. We're not being controlled by our fears, our insecurities, our lack, our doubt, our judgment, our criticism, our temptations. We're actually able to practice more self-control and be present in the present moment and feel what the present moment is offering and see ourselves for who we really are. And we're not getting caught up in the distractions of the past or the future. Everything is happening in the now, in the present moment. And so that is where the revelation is happening, and that is where the revolution is happening. So this is basically like a moment where we're like, we've done all this work. We've been doing all of this inner healing. We've been making changes in our lives, growing and putting ourselves out there. And I think that the last 3 weeks have been very difficult. They've been very challenging. They've been kind of scooping up that shadow and really like letting our deeply ingrained patterns come out in front of us so that they're not running the show on default setting anymore. In order to be cosmically sovereign, we've got to be able to witness those patterns when they come up and our unconscious programming, right? So we're kind of cleaning the slate so that we're no longer just running on autopilot, running on the old operating system, running on the old beliefs that were put into us by society, by our parents, by other people. And instead, we are like making a more pure connection to God, to source, to our higher self. And we are being influenced by that and not all the outer noise, or at least we have an opportunity to. So really leaning in there. And I think that the challenges and the triggers that just came up recently were like opportunities for us to see where there are still gaps for the opponent to come in and like mess with us and use our fear against us, use self-sabotage against us, use feelings of undeservingness or unworthiness to sabotage, you know, the fruits and the blessings that are starting to come in or that are about to come in. So we're witnessing this so that we can choose, instead of being blind and just going through life, stumbling through one, you know, test through another. It's like we're starting to become more aware of what's happening and the context of what's happening when it's happening. We're starting to learn how to anticipate that opponent coming in. And when we feel the pressure and the challenge and the tests coming, we're beginning to understand that this probably means that there are good things getting ready to unfold. And that this pressure, this heat, is two things. It is the universe trying to cleanse us, to elevate us to that next level so that we can be on the same resonance to receive that thing. And also, this is a sign that the opponent, if the opponent is up leveling, then that means that we're about to up level too, because our opponent is always eye to eye with us. Except it seems, because we are in the physical material world where the opponent has sort of like rule and reign over this material world, it feels like the opponent is one step ahead of us. And in a way it kind of is sometimes. And so the opponent just has like a little bit of a head start, but it doesn't mean that the opponent is smarter or stronger. It's like cheating with an unfair advantage, but we really have exactly the same skill and wits and all of that as the opponent. We're never challenged with more than we can handle, but at every time we up level, the opponent up levels with us. So that's another reason why we can see as an indicator, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Why am I in a shitstorm right now? It's either because you can think back, like, did you earn this chaos, or does it seem to be coming in a time, and this can be both true. You can earn that chaos, but that chaos can burn off that negativity and prepare you for a blessing. Or is this you elevating, and you've been, you know, doing the work and you've been believing and having faith, and then suddenly you are being attacked by like a spiritual attack, spiritual warfare. And so the opponent, when it feels us beginning to accelerate and to elevate in our soul, it's like, ooh, there's all this blessing sugar and juice around this person. I want to come steal that. So I want to cause them to do a negative action so I can thwart their blessing and take it from them. And so if you're all of a sudden hit with so many challenges, it's like, it could be a really good sign that means that you're elevating. And so it may not be evident yet in your outer circumstances, but it's coming from beneath the surface. And so many times we don't see these things come into fruition because we fall for the opponent's tricks, that nothing is coming, you know, that we're doomed, that we're, you know, resign ourselves to despair, you know, we don't deserve, why would anything change? Nothing ever changes, you know, and it just like, it takes us down into a downward spiral. There are two sides of the opponent. There is the masculine Satan and there's the feminine Satan. The masculine Satan is almost a less dangerous one. The masculine Satan is the one that comes in and tempts us with trickery into making the initial mistake. The feminine Satan is the one that causes us to atrophy and just lay there rotting away in our own despair. The feminine Satan comes in and is that little voice that's like, well, you should have known better. You know, it's that judgment, that criticism, that shameful, nasty, mean voice that talks down to you, that makes you feel bad about yourself, that makes you feel hopeless about life, that makes you doubt that change can ever happen, that makes you doubt that it can ever be fixed, that it can ever be better, that things can ever change. And the world is just not made to stay the same. Nothing in nature stays the same. Everything changes. And so no matter how locked into a rut or a malaise or a crisis that you feel like you are, this is a passing season and things will always turn around. The sun is there. The clouds may be in front of the sun, but they will move, they will burn off. Something good will happen. So where this is Kabbalistically referred to as maybe the most positive day of the year, when something has the power to reveal a lot of light, it can also come with a challenge. It can also come with shadow. And so today, you may also be presented with your shadow aspects, because the sun is shining so brightly onto us right now, and we're connecting with that higher self. Lots of belching coming through as confirmation, but as we're connecting with that higher self, it's just showing us the contrast of where we're going and what the current present is. And so that can be triggering to our shadow aspects that don't feel like enough, that don't feel good enough, that don't feel like they're invited to that party, that, oh, I have to hide away this part of myself lest I be a social pariah forever. Who could ever, like this person, this thing that I've become. Like, we've got to be able to see those shadow aspects of ourselves and accept them and know that, like, they're acceptable, that we're working on them, but it doesn't mean that we're not already lovable and whole and worthy. We're always like trying to hold this paradox as mystics, where we always have work to do. We always have evolution to do with our soul. We can always elevate our soul and reveal more light, and always work towards transmuting and alchemizing our negativity. And yet we don't have to feel bad about that. Like, that's our purpose here on earth. So it's like we can see that we're perfectly imperfect. We can work on ourselves, but we don't feel like there's any destination to get to before good things can happen to us, right? It's like a lifelong journey, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I have my flaws and you have your flaws, and we're all here together to be flawed together, to get on each other's nerves, to like get over that, to, fight and make up and learn to create unity. There was another lesson I learned this week, and I can't remember what it was from, but it was in my Kabbalah class. There was a group of students who studied under this rabbi, and the rabbi was trying to teach them that their unity, like unity in a spiritual community, elevates your light and creates more abundance and health and goodness. But when you are lacking a spiritual community and isolated from a spiritual community, like, it can actually take your light, and you can be leaking your energy, and it can actually take years off of your life. And they've studied this, that people are more prone to heart disease if they are very, very lonely and very, very isolated. Isn't that interesting? It's heart disease. When the rabbi was trying to explain to his students that if they fight amongst themselves and they're competitive and they're jealous and they're covetous, then that creates division, and it thwarts their blessings, and it takes their life force from them, and it can shorten their life. And so we have an opportunity here to connect with that higher self, to shift our mindset, and to make it a priority to build unity and wholeness and connection at the cost of our own ego, at the cost of our own selfishness, at the cost of our own agenda. We need to start thinking more inclusively. And as we do the work on ourselves, we want to be able to love ourselves, but not get too centered in ourselves, not get too into ourselves in a way that creates selfishness, negativity, victim mentality. You don't want to get tunnel vision, right? We want to receive the light, receive the healing, receive the the wisdom and the information and all of these things for the sake of making ourselves better, for the sake of being better for other people, for the sake of sharing, for the sake of being, for the goodness sake, right? For the sake of being a better person and for bringing more goodness into the world, and therefore able to be a better vessel for the light and a better beacon of the light and a better ambassador of the light to others, a better source of sharing, a source of generating love and friendship and abundance. So hopefully mankind is getting out of our funk, and hopefully we're starting to move towards that unity with the higher self. You know, it's funny, people are always talking about the end of days, and I know a lot of people my age are just like, oh, I can't deal with it. And now we've become to like just sort of casualize it because so many of us were raised in households that were evangelical. And there was always these warnings, be careful of the Antichrist is coming, like the end of times, Revelations, all this stuff. And it's like, as times accelerate and as things become more intense, it does feel like we're in that time. And we have just crossed over from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And so in a sense, that is true. We are entering into a new era. And so it doesn't just like start and stop, like reset, or you know, like the new season of this show's coming out and there's like all this gap in between of like, where have the characters been? What have they been doing? You know, we pick up like months later. Well, we don't have that. We're in it. We're in the weird gap of awkwardness where we're going from one season into the next as humanity as a whole. And so it's interesting. I've been watching The Chosen for months now. It's been like my show and I've been obsessed. And it's interesting too, because the people of the time, it's like they kind of had a feeling like that the Messiah would come in their lifetime. It just keeps coming up in the script of the show. It's like people are like, almost it's like expecting it, and it's like the center of the Jewish faith is like waiting for the Messiah, waiting for the Christ is coming to like save everyone. And they thought that it was going to mean the end of pain and suffering and the end of political oppression and financial enslavement and all of those things and religious oppression. But Jesus, it's so funny because when Jesus, like who just expects like, I think I'm going to live in the time where the Messiah is coming back. And then it actually happened. And you're like, what? And then this dude comes in and he's like, by the way, I'm the Messiah. And you're like, no way. And people were like, I feel that this is true. Some people were like, this man is a heretic. But it's interesting because here we are again in these very intense, desperate times. The show The Chosen, if you don't know about it, it's about Jesus when he found his disciples. It's every bit as much about the disciples as it is Jesus, but it's like a whole nother telling of the story, and it gives you so much more depth than just like the movies about Jesus. But it's interesting because as he meets these characters in these different cities, he's like strategically kind of revealing himself to these people. And he always finds the person that has been the most rejected or the most ostracized or has been in the most pain. And they're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, like the Messiah has been revealed to me in these times. And I had a feeling it was going to happen. And it's so funny that this almost like this version of the second coming of the Christ is coming out through pop culture and the shift in people's thinking. And revelation is happening, and we are in the midst of tribulations. Whether that equates to the world as we know it completely turning around, or whether it equates to us continuing to live as we do, but like our mindset shifts and society evolves. Because like in the Bible days, they thought when Christ was going to come back, everything would just be all hunky-dory, and like things would be like heaven on earth, and there would be no more sickness and no more, ailments and no more, disease and all of that stuff. And everybody would just live in peace and harmony and unity. And that's not really what happened. There was like division, and yes, there were people who were being healed, but pain and suffering didn't stop completely. And so it's interesting too that now it's like we're in this like moment of like, it feels like the world is on fire. It feels like we're under all this pressure Feels like it's the darkest it's been. And yet there's still something that's coming forward and coming out of that darkness and being birthed, I think, within us. And so I think in that way, the Christ is returning, and it's returning to each of us and on a personal level within our heart. And so that's the way that we can connect with that. But if we get caught up in what's going on in the outer world, we're going to be confused and we're not going to see it. So I hope all of that made sense. Just channeled through. There was no pre-thought, so it might have been disorganized. Okay, so the first card that's wanting to come out, representing us in this moment, is affect consciousness. Being reflexively reactive, being the victim of circumstance, believing illusion, uncertain, inconsistent, 3D mindset, forgetting your power, autopilot, unconscious patterns, default, practicing pause, give yourself space to use your free will. So in the Kabbalah Center, in Kabbalah 1, that's the first set of 10 classes that you would take in Kabbalah, you learn a concept called pause, what a pleasure, why is this in my movie? And you start to learn how to go through your life workshopping every moment that is playing out. Maybe not every moment. You can, that would be like super conscious, but we slip into forgetfulness like all day, every day. So the idea is that when things come up, instead of just reacting as the effect, right, we pause and we look at the context of what's happening. Why is this in my movie? Is this something like a message that the creator is trying to send me? And if it is, it's probably not it may not be obvious. It may be something that's being reflected through the thing that seems to be happening, right? One of the anchor message cards that came out today that I haven't posted that yet, I might have to do it tomorrow, is the riddle. And so it's like, what is the riddle of the situation? Don't get too obsessed with the literalness of what's happening, but what is the meaning behind it? If somebody says something to me that catches me off guard, is there a message in that I should take? It's not necessarily that some a-hole or a narcissist or something trying to like manipulate you. That's not the same. But why is this in my movie might mean like, oh, I need to set boundaries, or I need to take more, stock into who I'm letting into my influence or whatever. But why is this in my movie? It gives you a sense that the creator, things are happening for you, and the creator is within all things. But it's almost like dormant unless we activate the creator through our faith, through our choice of having certainty. It's like the outlet in the house. The electricity is there, but we have to do something to plug into that electricity, that power. And so cause consciousness, okay, so in order to connect with the light and be a vessel that is prepared to receive blessings and become that higher self on that higher timeline, we have to build affinity with the light of the creator. And so the creator is the cause of all things. We cannot affect the creator. It's like the sun and the moon. The light is unaffected. The light of the sun is unaffected. It is the cause. The moon is affected. It has no light of its own, so it is affected by what the light it can connect with. So when, like in the beginning, when there was the Big Bang, that singularity was the cause of the universe. The space, the womb in which caught the universe and gave it a space to gestate in, that was the effect. So God was like, I need something to share with. I need a vessel. I need something to give to. And so we became the vessel. But in order to be able to have vibrational affinity with the light, we have to be like the light. We have to become more like the cause rather than the effect. So there's a few different categories of consciousness. It's like consciousness pairings that Kabbalah breaks down. And I think that the two, or the pair that is like the foundation to start with, is affect consciousness versus cause consciousness. If we are in cause consciousness, we can feel and witness life and circumstances, but we can ultimately choose to be certain in the Creator and to maintain our vessel in the light. We have to maintain our consciousness. We have to show up as the person that we choose to be. And we have to adopt the mindset that we know is the higher mindset. And we have to choose to curate our thoughts. And we have to choose to curate our feelings. And this goes against our natural inclination. Our natural inclination is to be the effect, is to be, I want for me, and I don't understand this, and this is too much. And it's a lazy consciousness. It's a fleshly consciousness. It's the consciousness that the opponent has the most fun with, because it's the easiest one that the opponent can like pull your strings. This is me pulling a marionette puppet. So again, we're seeing through these triggers anything that is still throwing us into effect consciousness, where we still have gaps within our being that allow the opponent to come in and trigger our fears and our insecurity and all of those things. So becoming more like the light requires that we become more cause consciousness. And that means that we are able to practice the devotion of basically setting our vibrational thermometer and leaving it and trying to sustain that. And when life presents us with scary things, we can feel the fear, but we can choose to believe and have faith. Even when we feel the fear, even when we tremble, even when our knees are shaking, we can choose the way of the light. We can choose, okay, if I wasn't afraid right now and I knew God had my back and I was being guided in this direction, what does my spirit lead me to do? And we have to learn to distinguish between what does my fearful ego sound like, and how do I distinguish that voice from an nagging impulse, a compulsion to do something, rather than that calm, like quiet, encouraging, creative, sharing voice that moves you towards unity and wholeness and goodness. So right now, I think what is happening is we're being very affected by all the things going on right now. I know I've been emotionally in lots of different places today. And I felt myself, I was like, oh, I have like this effect consciousness that's taking over right now, and I need to get a hold of it. And so I needed to choose to shift my energy into another state. And so after that, I felt so much better. I'm feeling so much better every minute. But I went against my fleshly inclination to be more affected and more negative and more down and more worried. And instead, I got motivated and determined. And I just went into positive mode, not toxic positivity, but in creative mode. Instead of dragging my feet, I, prepared all the things that I needed to film for the day and get ready for work and started moving instead of letting that depression feeling take over. It's like in the Never-Ending Story when Atreyu is going through that swampy area and the horse gets stuck in the tar pit and it starts sinking, and it's getting taken down by the sadness, and the horse is almost like lost its will to fight and to get out of the tar pit, and the tar pit sucks the horse down. That's kind of like the affect consciousness card, is like, hey, you're letting everything really affect you right now. So it's better to pause and check yourself before you wreck yourself. Go get quiet for a minute in order to shift the channel, change the channel, change your energy, change your mindset, and then go back to being productive or doing what you were going to do. But don't continue on through your day spiraling in affect consciousness, because you will create more and more, or you will attract more and more chaos. So what's crossing us now is a hidden agenda is creating resistance. So this could be that opponent coming in, trying to create resistance from us connecting to our higher self, from us elevating and starting to move towards the life of our destiny, and it's trying to keep us in effect consciousness. And so the hidden agenda that the opponent uses so many times is inner conflicting desires within us. If you feel like you're being torn in two directions about something, or you're unsure, or it's hard to make a decision, that can have just the same energy as a hidden agenda creating resistance, because your subconscious patterning may feel like it's so unfamiliar with the positive things that are coming in that it's scared of them and feels threatened and feels like it's going to kill a part of yourself. A part of your ego is going to be left behind. And so those unconscious parts of the self are the ones that come up to sabotage when good things start happening. It's the thing that makes you say the wrong thing at the wrong moment, or panic and do something out of character, or make the wrong decision and then kick yourself about it for like days and days and days. So just be aware that the energy that's crossing us right now is we're in a precarious positioning. Let's just put it that way. So a hidden agenda is creating resistance. You may have a conflicting desire that is preventing alignment. Someone around you might have a conflicting agenda to yours. A situation or person may not be what they seem, and your subconscious is trying to protect you. Your goals are conflicting. You may need to prioritize one over the other for a period of time. In order to manifest, you must be in vibrational alignment, mind, body, and soul. So this is a great opportunity. The lunations are always a great opportunity to try to connect with what we want. What are our intentions? And are your thoughts supporting those intentions? Are your moods and feelings supporting those intentions? Are your choices and actions on a daily basis in the moment-to-moment situations, are they supporting your intentions? And we need to get in alignment with that. And we can get, because so many times it's like we don't know what, we keep thinking that it's everything else that's resisting us, but it's more than likely like we that are resisting us, and that's creating the illusion that everything else is resisting us, but it's really coming from the inside first. So look to all the ways that you might not be in alignment with your own intentions right now. Okay, subconscious influence affecting us at this moment. The subconscious influence that is affecting, I feel like it was this one, save your money. So this is like everything that you're thinking about right now. There's been a lot of like tense material sustenance themes going on. I mean, like our economy is strained. So you can literally be thinking about your money and your finances, but this also has to do with your feelings of being provided for and having sustenance and having that stability. And so if you're thinking like save your money and you're coming at it from a worried place, like this is what's lingering in your subconscious, it feels like it's like a lack or a fear or an attempt to control. And so there's something in the subconscious that is a money concern right now that's kind of like affecting everything that you're doing. And it's maybe taking over from your ability to have creativity and fun and being able to just relax and enjoy yourself. Maybe it's become like almost like an obsessed preoccupation or an obsessive worry that you feel you have no control over. So I would say that would be a situation that you want to bring your money concerns into your prayer every day and start positively affirming that your money is growing and that you are abundant and that new cycles of money are starting. And this is only like a symbol of your inner sense of security in the Creator. When we have like this really strong connection to the light, we want to see the light as our source, our provider, our sustainer. And so the source, God, He is the provider and the sustainer. It's not our job. Like the source brings us that job, but the job is just a vessel for the light to move through. And so we need to take our mind off of the vessels and connect it, put our mind on the creator, on the source. And that's when we were taught, I started to talk about this earlier, but if God is in all things and it's God's dormant until we choose with our free will to activate our faith, activate our certainty. It's like, then choose to activate your certainty in God as the provider. God is the protector. God has got you. God has got your back. God will not leave you for naught. And so having that trust, letting go, letting your guard down, letting your shoulders drop will help give you more affinity with the light of the creator, because the light of the creator is not worried about money. The light of the creator has everything. There is no worry in that. And so if we are one with the creator, we should have nothing to worry about. So just consider that. And then, be prudent and wise. Like, don't be a fool with your money, obviously, but you just have to do the best you can. But like white knuckling and obsessing and trying to control and being miserly is only going to lock up your money. You need it to flow. You need to be able to let the money move a little bit. And that's why tithing is so important. And I need to be better about it too, and more specific and intentional rather than vague, like, oh yeah, I'm being giving, I'm being sharing. It's like, it's specific that you should take 10% of your earnings and donate that to a source of spiritual sustenance in your life, or I think to charity counts. I'm not sure. I know that for sure it's supposed to be given to a source of spiritual encouragement, a source of spiritual sustenance for you. But I don't think it's necessarily wrong if you're giving it in a way that supports life in this world. Like, for instance, I donate sometimes to charity water because I don't have a specific like temple or church that I go to. And I do have a monthly membership fee through the Kabbalah Center that kind of feels like it's there to support the Kabbalah Center. But 10% devoted to something intentionally with that purpose. And so what that does is it gives back the creator what was entrusted in you to be able to share with others and pass that light on into the world. It shows that you trust the creator, and it shows that you are like your money is moving. It's not stagnant, but there's a generative energy and like a synergy happening. There was another point that was coming through about trust. Oh, there's always a point made that when you're the most stressed out about money, that means that it's the most powerful time for you to tithe. Like, if we are doing an act of sharing or giving, the act that is the most difficult for our flesh consciousness is the one that's going to reveal the most light. So if you're like, oh, I have an easy time volunteering, I don't have a lot of money right now, so I'll just go volunteer. It's probably would be more effective for you to actually give the money rather than volunteer, because it's more, you sacrifice yourself more by doing the harder thing. And it's the self-sacrifice that reveals more of that light and creates more flow and more ability for like miracles to come through. So indecision. Oh, okay, hold on. I had the next card was coming up and I wasn't even prepared. So the past influence that's kind of clearing up is indecision is keeping you in a stalemate, which is interesting because the crossing energy was a hidden agenda is causing resistance. So it's like those two things I think are definitely connected. And so I think that we're starting to become more decisive and more robust in our decisions and having more confidence in them, or at least having more confidence in the ability to make a decision and take action on it and then not second guess it. So the fact that right now we're still kind of feeling this, and it's like that's what's left that still feels like, it's like, what's the holdup? Why is there so much like resistance? And it's coming, the call is coming from inside the house. It's like, it's us that's creating the resistance. There's some form of indecision. There's some form of like oscillating, like going back and forth on an issue that's keeping you in a stalemate. But once you get that clarity and make that choice, then the energy is going to move. All right, what's crowning us this moment? Okay, it's time to juggle has come up a couple of times. Just like as I've been shuffling, I just keep noticing it. And so I think there's probably like a lot that we have to like kind of balance and juggle right now. The law of attraction has been activated. Oh my God. So like we just said, as soon as you become more of one mind and in alignment and with that higher self, and you get over the indecision and you kind of come to a conclusion within yourself about something, that is when the energy will move. The law of attraction has been activated. That's what's crowning us. So literally it comes down to like getting over this wishy-washy energy, or this I'm scared but I'm brave, or I have faith but I'm also in the midst of a storm right now that's like terrifying me and I'm having doubts. Like, it's okay to go through those times, but it's the choice that we make to anchor ourselves. And so when we anchor ourselves and we anchor ourselves in the Creator, and in the Christ consciousness and in that Christ connection within our heart, and then in that communication from Holy Spirit within our heart, this is going to activate the law of attraction, because we're building more affinity with the light. Therefore, we're connecting with the light and we're connecting with our blessings. So just around the corner, peace and release. So what's coming up is a moment where we're surrendering, we're letting go, we're letting the past be the past. We're choosing peace. We're choosing our peace within. We're choosing our future peace. We're just coming to a peace about it all. And we're letting go of the inner conflict. And we're letting go of the darkness and the shadow and things that have disrupted our peace. You know, have you ever carried a grudge or like a wound or something around so long that you're like, this is so heavy. I don't even want to feel the discomfort of this anymore. And it's not worth it. And you just let it go because you're like, I would just rather be in peace than be right. I don't care. I would rather be happy. And that's kind of it. It's like, we're just like, I'm over it to the nth degree. This is the end of days, as it were. I'm at peace. I'm releasing. I'm letting go. So surrender, let it go, radical acceptance, untangle, allow, let go of control, certainty in the light, embrace the unknown, move forward from here. Don't get stuck in the past. Okay, awesome. So, and then sometimes getting stuck in the past is just carrying around like trepidation that what if this is the same thing again? Oh no, you know, that kind of thing, worrying that the same thing is going to play out over and over again. I'm guilty of this as well. So we're having to notice those times where we're like, oh, we're kind of worried, like, is this going to be like the same thing again? And it's like, we have to give credit for a new day. We have to let the new cycle begin, and we have to stop assuming that it's going to be the same thing over and over again. So the perspective that's affecting you right now is it's worth working on. Now, many times this position here can reflect a negative perspective that's sort of keeping us stalled or holding us back. And so sometimes when there's a positive card in this position, we have doubts that this is the case. So maybe there's something that we're like, I don't know if it's worth trying. I don't even know if it's worth putting the effort into, because it's like there's this pessimism that's coming up from the past, trying to be responsible, trying to protect you. But this is a new cycle. These are new things starting. We are new people. We are beginning again. So there's something that's worth working on. It's like, don't give up, right? I have been feeling the same way recently. There's been so much that I'm just like, I just want to give up to everything, give up to everything. I just want to lay here in the house until someone discovers me, and maybe I haven't starved to death yet, and I'm just going to let it all just disintegrate. And of course we're not doing that, but there is like this feeling that creeps in sometimes where you're just like, I'm so tired. What is life? Am I just living for tomorrow's memes? Like, what is this? But it is worth working on. It's worth showing up for. You're worth working on. You're worth showing up for. I'm worth working on. I'm worth showing up for. So there are dreams that, and light and ideas that need to be revealed. And we go through these stages in our life. We're like, oh my God, I've been through so much. Like, I don't know if I can keep trying to make something work. Like, especially if you haven't found success at anything yet. You might feel like you're running out of steam. I'm with you there. Like, I feel that. But we don't really have a choice but just to keep going. Right? What is the other choice? Like, sit in the house, not move, and then wait for someone to come knock on the door and be like, have you eaten today? Like, that's the other choice. So we are intrepid. We carry on. Don't throw in the towel. There is something to be learned in this. The situation has value. All right. So, okay. The next card represents, that one was particularly, this card represents the outer influence affecting us right now. Find a teacher. Find a mentor or teacher. Research. Take classes or join a community of like-minded individuals. Oh my gosh, we were just talking about the lesson that the rabbi gave to his students about the importance of spiritual community. And I do feel that is so important. When I'm taking classes with the Kabbalah Center and I'm regularly taking my classes, especially if I can go to the Zoom ones where there's like a chat going on and it feels like you're a part of something, there is a whole other feeling that I have than when I'm rogue. I'm like trying to catch up with the replays of classes. I'm not regular, I'm not consistent. I feel so much more anchored and so much more supported and so much more comforted when I have those consistent teachers there, that consistent spiritual community. And so that might, show up and manifest in different ways for you. But I know too, so many times I think I've seen the entire internet, and then one day I will discover like a new person that I haven't run across on like TikTok or YouTube, and they give me like a piece of advice that I've been needing. It might be something mundane, like, how to break into the algorithm better, or it might be something really deep and profound, like when I found the crappy childhood fairy that taught me about low-level like trauma responses in adults that come through from repressed childhood traumas. And so those patterns that were coming through, I did not realize that my whole life I've been living from like one trauma response to the next. And being able to see that and understand what that is has really helped me unpack and be able to be more proficient in pause. What a pleasure. Why is this in my movie? Why am I compelled to respond or behave this way in the situation? So finding a teacher, just open yourself up to it. Pray to God that God will send you, the right coach, the right mentor, the right teacher that can have a morsel of insight or say something just the way that you need to hear it in order for it to make sense for you. I've watched a billion hours of teachers and videos, and so many times the information is essentially the same. I've listened to like secular dating coaches, and I have like gritted my teeth through the cringiness of watching Christian oriented dating coaches and coaches on this and that and whatever. And I'm just specifically talking about dating coaches because I just want to narrow it down to a specific example. But the advice that the shallow seeming chick on TikTok is giving us, and the cheesy like Christian guy is giving, and the older woman who's the matriarch and the young guy, it's like they're all essentially the same advice, but each person, the way that they say it hits a different way. It doesn't matter if it's the same subject being talked about again and again and again, and it doesn't matter if it's the same answer being given it again and again and again. Sometimes the way that a person is and the way that they say it, or the way that their perspective just hits you in that moment, it can bring forth an insight that you hadn't had, that you've been trying to break through. So don't get pessimistic and think like, oh, I've heard it all, I've seen all the teachers, like I'm just sick of it, I'm burnt out. Like, be open, and be open to what presents. Okay. The next card will represent our hopes and fears. Hopes and fears. Here we go. Creative collaboration. Like minds capable of manifesting a common vision. So if you've been looking for and hoping for a tribe, a community, someone to help you with your ideas, someone to work with, someone to even just bounce your creativity off with and have a good time and get creative together and inspiring together. Something, it's like, maybe there's a part of us that's hoping for that collaboration, but then also there's a part of us that is like fearful that it's like never gonna come. Like we're just too weird, we're too this or we're too that, or our idea is too far out there. But there are creative collaborators that can, come together with you. It's so funny, on TikTok recently, like I made a new TikTok friend, and it was just like this reader. I saw that this one person kept commenting on my videos and kept liking them. And I was like, oh, who is this person? I want to go see who this person is. And they're just the neatest person. And they also do readings. And he's just got like such a bubbly like personality, and like lives in Colorado. And like, I don't know, it's just like so much more glamorous and like well put together in some ways than me. But I've been really just like loving his videos, and he's been like commenting on mine. And then it's just like, it feels like so helpful because it feels like someone's trying to help me grow my platform there. Like this person has been really consistent in their positive comments and reinforcement. And so I've been positively commenting and reinforcing their videos. And it's just been so nice. And there's no agenda. It's just, hey, I like your videos, I like your content, I hope you do well. And it feels very supportive, and it feels very like, oh, I have a friend, kind of thing. And it's been really nice. And so it can be even things like that. Like if you see someone that's like really inspiring you on social media, like support their posts and support their work. And it creates a synergy, but it's when you're receiving so much like inspiration from a source, it keeps the energy moving. If you then return that to them by saying like, oh, I appreciate this. This made a difference for me. This made my day better. Whatever it is, like when people give me like positive feedback, all you guys, when you tell me like that something stood out in a reading or a message or something was really poignant for you, like that makes me feel great. It makes me feel like I'm doing my job on earth. Like I'm here, I'm doing my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do. And it feels like it's getting to somebody, right? When the times that I get discouraged, like when I don't feel like there's any other person on the other line, when it doesn't seem like, is anyone seeing the video? Is anyone out there? Like it feels alone. It feels like I'm talking to a void. So creative collaboration, like getting more involved with a community, making friends, like making an effort, and sometimes it's hard because you're like, how do I put myself out there without coming off like a psycho? Because I think nowadays people are really on edge. They're very defensive. And so I think the initial response to someone that's just like showing up in your atmosphere is to be like, oh, this, like they're calm down, and like, what is their agenda? What do they want? And I think we just have to break through that feeling like, am I going to be cringe? Like, just be cringe. Just embrace it. Just be cringe. We're all going to cringe together. Shabbat. So the final outcome is Shabbat. And so I love that. Shabbat is the day of the week where we get to connect with the light in its fullest, because we are not taking action. We're not sharing. We're just the vessel. We're receiving. We're at rest. We're not taking action. Woman of valor, who can find, I think is a statement that is made at the beginning of Shabbat. And I started hearing them say that on The Chosen. I'm like a self-taught Jew, so I don't have like all of the information. So I'm having to piece it together over the years. But to me, that's like a declaration of the beginning of the evening, because there's all this language in the Bible about the bride, the bridegroom, the bride of Christ, the It's all about the bride. We are the bride. We are the feminine. We are the vessel waiting and preparing ourselves to receive the light. And so being in that feminine energy is what we're asked to do on Shabbat. Shabbat is sundown Friday night till sundown Saturday night. And that is a time of rest. It is a time to remember that God named the Sabbath day and said to keep it holy. Like God took a day of rest after the creation of the world. And that's a rhythm that we absolutely need in order to sustain our connection with our spirit. Otherwise, we just get bogged down by the toil. And so that is a day where we receive, where we connect to the light, and we receive the blessings for the coming week. We do the blessing of Shabbat. We kindle the light, so we light the candles. We do the Eucharist, so we eat the challah, and we do the blessing over the challah. We do the blessing over the wine. And this is basically communion in its original form. And so to receive the Shabbat as our final income, our final outcome, it feels like we're finally able to come to a place of fulfillment and rest and blessing without having to work, not without having to work, but without having to like make it happen on our own. It's like we've prepared ourselves and now it's time to trust and let the Creator deliver. So Shabbat, or the Sabbath, holy sacred rest, pause, the cosmic womb, rhythms, introspection, spiritual renewal, and sacred rituals. Shabbat is also a time to gather together with loved ones, but it's a time to like think about our beliefs and our faith and our traditions, to create unity and love within our families and spiritual communities. And it is a time to rest and replenish and renew. Let's grab 4 tarot cards to summarize our message. All right. Oh, I love to see this. Star card. This is Aquarius. This is the water bearer here. She has got 1 foot in the realm of the ethereal, 1 foot on the ground. And that's what we're finding now, is that we're balancing that connection with source, and at the same time that we are grounding that in, and we're bringing it into practice, into the physical. Very good. So the star is all about healing. It's about hope. It's about renewal, and it's about major life goals coming into fruition, major dreams coming true, that aligning with that destiny. Very, very exciting. She's also naked. So it's like our purest form without the societal conditioning, right? Like Adam and Eve were naked in the garden. They hadn't been conditioned by the ego yet. They hadn't tried to cover up their light through shame and through guilt and hiding who they really are. And so this is like, again, that connection with that higher self, where this is who we really are, without any of the conditioning, without any of the programming, without any of those subconscious operating systems coming up, without any of those wounds and that emotional baggage affecting everything that we do and how we present. This is good. This is healing. This is the whole prophecy summarized in 1 card. 8 of Cups. This is amazing. We're ready to move on and move forward into a new cycle, into more depth and meaning, and having a more fulfilling life, instead of just going through the motions or struggling against our own inner conflicts all the time. It's like we're ready to move on from this and go to a higher level, go to a more elevated consciousness. And so it doesn't mean that there's not going to be new challenges. This person is walking towards the mountains, but they're leaving behind the empty cups that they're like, there's nothing here for me in these. Like this, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've got the t-shirt. I'm ready for something new, and I'm ready to see the next chapter that life has to offer. And hopefully it's going towards something that has deeper meaning and fulfillment. 10 of Cups was just on the bottom of the deck, which is fulfillment, harmony, happiness, blessing. We've got Queen of Pentacles here. This is like learning how to be grounded and establish that sense of self-love, that sense of self-care, being able to bring that influence of the higher self into our outer life. And so we can nurture our lives and the others around us. The Queen of Pentacles is like that Earth Mother character that like is that great cook. They always have like something, they're always like comfortable and homey. It like feels good to be around them. They feel very like rose quartzy. This is the person that you feel pretty accepted by. This is the person who knows how to nurture others. This is also a very pragmatic and practical and grounded individual. So she's a lot more grounded than, say, the Queen of Cups, who can be really in the ethereal and like, you know, really in the depths of the intuition all the time. The Queen of Pentacles is like able to live and move in the material world. So I feel like this is good. This is like all of the self-work, the self-love, the self-worth is coming forward, and it's about to start coming into fruition in the form of like abundance and comfort and security and stability and health and wealth and wisdom and all of that. But we just need to get over this hump. The Eight of Swords came up, and so this is the challenge right now. The Eight of Swords is a moment where we feel like this sense of feeling trapped or like stuck or in fear. Sometimes we feel so overwhelmed that we can't see the way forward, or everything starts feeling so much harder and worse than it actually is. And so if you look at the artwork here, this person isn't really as trapped as they seem. They can easily walk away from the situation, but it feels more threatening than it is. And so that Eight of Swords card is like the thing that's still holding us in place right now. We need to get out of this illusion that things are worse than they really are. And then this is like a lighter octave of the Devil card. So lots of illusion at play. The opponent is at play here, but it's not having so much of an influence that it's the actual major arcana Devil card coming up, which is good. It's just sort of like in the process of this, you know, these days, this week, like it just feels, you know, a little bit like we've been stuck, but I think we can get unstuck. Okay, let's grab a Moonology card. What do we need to know for this full moon? Ooh, look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius full moon card, it does make sense because in a way, that's what the Aquarian energy is asking us to do. It's asking us to look at the bigger picture, zoom out and get out of your like tunnel vision of being so closed in by everything. And when you get out and you get a better perspective, when you get some distance from everything, nothing seems like that big of a deal. It doesn't seem as severe as it is. And so I think this is a passing energy that's going to move over us, and it's come as an influence to show us some things, but it's not like a permanent that matches. It's not a permanent condition. So I think that we just need to take a step back, get some perspective, see how this is deepening us and expanding our philosophy and our ability to be understanding and insightful and compassionate. But we need to avoid like getting too caught up in the minutia and completely overwhelmed, because then we feel like this. We feel stuck, but we're not really stuck. There's a lot of potential. And Sagittarius is nothing if not optimistic and risk-taking. Okay. Optimistic, adventurous, risk-taking, curious, loves philosophy, loves to learn, loves to explore. So this energy also, you know, maybe steering you towards a teacher or a course of study. I know I saw that they were advertising an on-demand version of Kabbalah 1 through the Kabbalah Center, where you can like watch a pre-recorded version. I actually bought that not too long ago, and it's really good. The moon, even though I've taken the Kabbalah 1 class like a million times, like it's always different. Like you always learn something new. It's never not good to go back and keep going through that material, because we are so forgetful. I mean, I can be enlightened in 1 minute and 10 minutes later be definitely not enlightened. So it's a work in progress. Oh my God, this moon card looks exactly like the dude I was talking about on TikTok. Y'all go follow him. It's Alec Chase. He's a fun person to follow. So listen to your intuition and pay attention to signs from the divine. Unnecessary worry, let go of your fears, revelations that will make everything clear. So this does feel a lot like this vibe right now. I'm going to read this again. Listen to your intuition and pay attention to signs from the divine. Unnecessary worry, letting go of your fears. Where was that? It was like let go. Oh, peace and release. Revelations that will make everything clear. So we're really getting clarity. We're letting go of our fears. We're just cultivating that inner peace within. Things are on the up and up. Things are becoming more clear. We've been in a divine fog, and that has been purposeful. It's been so that we can't see the way ahead, so that we have to grow our trust and grow our faith and our strength in the Creator. But those times don't last forever. They are training sessions. And so that portion is coming to a completion in its this round of lessons. Protection. This card reminds me of Mila Jovovich. Can you see it? Like Blue Lagoon, Mila Jovovich. Actually, it would be Return to the Blue Lagoon, the sequel. Your loved one, your loved ones, and your possessions are safe and protected by heaven. So this is, again, comforting reassurance that all is not forsaken, all is not lost, things are okay. This is just that moment of pressure that is creating a diamond. A bird cannot fly without resistance from the wind. Okay. Waves of prosperity. Love to see it. Love to hear it. New abundance and exciting opportunities wash over you now. Well, that's fun. That's exciting. Hopefully that is going to be a swift and apparent wash of prosperity. I have work tonight, so maybe I'll have a really good shift, hopefully. But I think generally, I think that new energy is coming and things are gonna feel more refreshed and more exciting and more hopeful. Make a wish. This is a magical moment. Make a wish and enjoy its manifestation. So yeah, I mean, the full moon is a culmination of whatever seeds we planted 6 months ago. And I feel like I'm always planting the same seeds. So I'm always like, when's it gonna culminate? But it might be a good time to take some time to journal and like reconnect with the things that you've been trying to manifest and the things that you've been working toward. And there might be physical, material things that you've wanted to manifest or outward conditions, but relate those and compare them to the struggles that we've been trying to overcome within ourselves. What are your shadow aspects and like negative traits that you've been trying to elevate and correct? Those are probably interconnected with the things that you want to manifest. And as you heal, those things are going to come forward more quickly. Oh, what is a reading without a soulmate card? Here we go again. A soulmate relationship, a new romance with a spiritual basis is here for you now. We've been having this card come up over and over and over again. So maybe now that we're going into a new cycle, all of these things and trials and tribulations and lessons have been preparing us for a soulmate level relationship. You know, there's a lot of people who could be potentially good matches for us in this world, in this life. I don't think that there's just one person set aside for each person. I think that everybody has their free will, but I think that there are, you know, certain people that we can achieve like a certain destiny with or a level. And so in Kabbalah, we're taught that there are different levels of relationships, and the first like kind of superficial level is the first mate. And this is just like dating, you know, very casually, nothing of real substance, you know, it's just all about the fun and excitement of it. Then there are practice mates, where we learn how to have a relationship. We learn how to kind of merge with another person and share our individual life with that person. And then there are tikkun mates. Tikkun mates are the people that we work out a lot of karma with, that we work out a lot of our stuff that comes out that we need to purge, and that we can only do that through someone who's mirroring back and like triggering us, or like showing us certain things, or helping evolve us in certain ways. So those are preparatory relationships. And then there are soulmate relationships, where we've done enough work to merit having an equal that we're equally yoked with come into our life, and we're both kind of on the same page. You know, the two people they're mutually enthusiastic about trying to, you know, take the world by storm together, and they have, you know, similar growth cycles and dreams, or maybe not similar, but just compatible. And they are both whole on their own, but they are able to be interdependent and let someone else in. And then that kind of like it accentuates each other, rather than being from a place of like emptiness and neediness, like needing someone to complete you and heal you and show you the way. Like that's a tikkun mate. That is a recipe for a tikkun relationship. But if you're well enough and you're not like needy for another person, then that kind of sets you up for that feeling of wholeness, where you can be happy with or without, but you can, and you don't need someone, you don't have to be away from, it's like you don't have any hangups, extreme hangups either way. And you can now have someone that will accentuate your life rather than define it, or completely take over so that you lose yourself. You know, it's like you can maintain yourself and you can become more of yourself. Because this person is with you in your life as a running buddy, as a teammate, rather than, you know, those relationships where we lose ourselves, and we, you know, we have to learn a lot through those. It's like this kind of relationship is like your cup runneth over, and it actually starts to bring more positivity into your life and in the lives of others around you. So for our romance cards, we've got keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. So this has been a very consistent card coming up for weeks and weeks. So there may be a soulmate or a relationship coming in that you maybe didn't expect, or you didn't see coming, or you were like, oh, this is a surprise. This wouldn't have been the person that I would have imagined or expected. Or maybe somebody catches you off guard and you thought you didn't really know much about them, and then they took you by surprise. But just keep an open mind. Don't make any conclusions either way. Don't count somebody out right off the bat for like maybe some reason that your former self would have, unless it's a bad red flag. Don't be super open-minded to let people slip in with bad red flags. But be open to the fact that this may not be your usual type, or what you would expect your usual type would be. Fuck me. Soulmate card. Are there any more decks that have a soulmate card that would like to come out? Yes, this is your soulmate. So be open-minded. There could be relationship potential coming forward soon that you may not expect. Or it may be in conditions that you wouldn't have expected either. Separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. So there may be like a start and stop quality about this. This person may start entering into your like a peripheral of your life. It may not be like a full-on like jump in and things get going. There may be reasons why you're not meeting this person yet, or you meet them and there's some space and it's not like a full-on all systems go right off the bat. So don't look at that negatively. Use it as an opportunity to examine your attachment styles, right? Are you comfortable with separation from a partner? You know, are you comfortable in the spaces that you're not connected constantly with reassurance? Like, what kind of attachment style do you have? Are you avoidant? Are you anxious? Are you one of the combinations? That's also something of a recent kind of phenomena that's been helping, I think, people come to more self-awareness and why they react the way they do. It's like between trauma responses and attachment styles. I'm like, who am I even? Like, just a blank slate underneath conditioning. That's the part of ourselves that we're trying to find again, is that higher self that is like pre-attachment style, pre-paranoia. Romantic feelings, da, da, da. So your feelings are real and worth exploring. So something is stirring. Don't be too startled or caught off guard. Just take your time. Explore the feelings. Don't ruminate and obsess. But give them a chance to percolate. Let's just put it that way. Matthew Hussey, a dating coach, here, I've got this book right here. He wrote this book, Love Life, which this is my bathtub book right now. But last night, in the chapter that I was reading, he was just talking about how we're so used to hearing people sentimentalize statements like, follow your feelings, like, listen to your feelings are valid. He was like, I saw this person wearing a t-shirt once that said, your feelings are valid. And he was like, immediately he was like, so many of my feelings are not valid. Like, that is such a bullshit t-shirt. And I'm like, I feel that personality aspect in my life. I'm like, everybody's just trying to have a nice time and wear a cute t-shirt. And I'm like, your t-shirt is a lie. Your t-shirt is a lie. You're spreading poison. And they're just like, I'm just trying to be a nice person. And you're like, well, you're selling people lies. But he ruined the t-shirt, and I love it because I agree with this so many times. People are like, I just needed to follow my heart. I needed to follow my feelings, and this is how I feel, and all this stuff. And it's like, have we ever stopped to think that like our feelings could be askewed because of our warped perspective? You know, I've been recently talking a lot about, you know, and it's the same with people who are like, well, this is my truth. And it's like, who said your truth isn't whack? Like, you know, like, let's make sure that we are aligning with a sound truth and sound feelings that we're following. But think about it. Your feelings usually spring from your thoughts, and your thoughts are sometimes whack. And you have to really learn to cultivate your thoughts. And it's a process of self-mastery to change your mindset. And so just blindly trusting your feelings because that's a nice t-shirt and it's the cute thing to do and it makes for the pretty poem or the pretty graphic that, you know, gets popular and goes viral, it's actually not very true. And so our feelings aren't always valid. Sometimes we're being a victim. Sometimes we're being selfish. Sometimes we're being critical and harsh. Sometimes we're being mean. And we don't see that about ourselves right away. And so we have to, you know, think about, okay, like, are my feelings valid in the situation, or are they being prompted by affect consciousness? So sometimes your feelings are valid and sometimes they aren't. But in this case, explore the romantic feelings. Don't shut them down. Let's just put it that way. Okay, advice from Mother Mary. Mother Mary as in Jesus's mom. Ooh, okay, mother. Mother, I open my heart to my mother's humanness and her divinity. Mother and father healing have been themes that have been coming up recently. And the more that we improve our relationship with our mother, the more that we can improve other relationships that we have. Because, like, your mother relationship can have an effect on your self-worth. And so learning to accept your mother as a human woman, you know, who, like, we put our mothers on a pedestal. And because of that, they have such power and influence over us, and especially at a very young age, that the mistakes they make as young women trying to raise a blank slate without putting any default setting programming in, it's almost impossible. And so we carry these wounds around that our mothers have inflicted on us in our early childhood and our early youth and our adolescence and maybe throughout life or whatever. But we forget that our mothers are just the same as us. Someone who is unpacking all of the stuff that their mother gave to them. And so learning how to accept our mothers as human women who are also scared and alone and having a hard time and not knowing all the answers, but feeling like they have to have all the answers, feeling like they have to be a superhuman. And learning how to have compassion for your mother and mercy and forgiveness. It gives you more compassion for yourself. Because so many times I think that that hard voice that we put on ourselves is an echo of maybe that dark mother archetype that made an impression on us in a moment in the past that stayed with us. And that could have been from a teacher, from anybody in that matriarchal kind of vibe that would have made us feel a certain way. And it caused us to have self-defense mechanisms and shut down parts of us and made us, feel maybe insecure or not as confident as we could be. And it's probably because they were well-meaning. They were probably just trying to prevent us from becoming, from leading a life that would lead us into a disappointing conclusion. But it's like that's what life is. But they were trying in their best way to love us and to prepare us for the world and to prevent us from making the mistakes that they made. So it doesn't always mean that it came out in the best way or in the most evolved way. So we need to open our hearts to our mother and try to do our best to perceive their love and to feel their love. Action. Today I take action related to the priorities that I have previously put off. That is Queen of Pentacles right here. It is this week, today, starting now, I am going to take action and get my priorities together. I'm going to get my environment on fleek, on point, and I am going to get my shit in gear. Boundaries. I am clear and honest with others about my expectations. So again, learning to communicate these things in a healthy way. In lighthearted ways keeps our vessel clear, because then we are the cause and not the effect. Affected by everyone putting upon me. I am victimized by all these people. And it's we start to feel that way when we haven't set strong enough boundaries for ourselves, with ourselves and with others. One thing, an example of setting boundaries and expectations is taking action on the priorities in your life, right? If you've let those things pile up and you haven't been disciplined, then you're not having healthy, strong boundaries with yourself, which also could reflect on the fact that you have weak boundaries with other people. And so maybe you've neglected your own priorities because you've had to expend so much energy people pleasing because you didn't know how to set healthy, clear boundaries. Maybe that's always been scary for you because maybe there's always been a lot of backlash when you did. So learning how to have a threshold for the fact that not everybody's gonna like your choices all the time. Not everybody's gonna love it when you can't show up for them that day or whatever. But sometimes it's just a matter of having to face the music. Honestly, it's uncomfortable at first to be. I'm a Libra rising with a Cancer moon, so feeling other people's feelings and almost being more distracted by that has been something that I've had to consciously try to overcome in my life so that I don't lose myself in trying to make everybody else feel comfortable and pleased and just putting myself on the back burner. Because then what happens is everything piles up and then you have this blow up inside and your environment is going to shit and you are feeling like crap because you haven't filled your well the way you need to. Whereas the Shabbat, right? This is all about Shabbat energy. It's you need to replenish and rest and renew and go back to source and fill up your tank and be able to set a rule and a boundary for yourself, right? I don't work on Shabbat unless it's absolute desperation or a real need. I don't pick up shifts on Friday. And that's been a boundary that I've tried to set with myself and others. And it hasn't always been easy to keep. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to stick every landing. You just have to you just have to keep trying, right? You keep having to keep showing up. Okay, I'm gonna grab the one Jesus card that's out, so we have the full deck. I've never worn these like sequins pants out in public yet. I haven't had the occasion, but they're interesting. They're fun. The sequins get stuck together and then they're like a weird, I don't know. It's weird to walk in them because the pants like catch themselves and then you like, it's like having your shoelaces tied together. It's like my inner thighs got stuck together. Okay. All right, Jesus, what do you want to tell us? What is our final words from Jesus as we close up the workshop? What do we have here? Ooh, okay, I haven't had this card much. Seek you first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added on to you. So doing that work to connect with the source, with God, with Christ, seek that first. Seek first to bring peace and fulfillment and strength and certainty inside, in your heart. And when you do that, when you start connecting with the ultimate source, the ultimate divine, the Christ, the Holy Spirit, already you feel like, oh my gosh, things are in their right place. And it begins to start to do the work on you. But if you can seek those things first and be more preoccupied with those things, everything else will flow as a result. Everything will be blessed. And when we talk about the Creator, when we talk about Hashem, when we talk about Adonai, we actually bring upon ourselves protection and blessing. Especially the more we declare the Creator's goodness, the more we bless God, bless the Father, the more we are blessed in turn. And then this other one came up too. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. So let me read that again. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. So don't be obsessed about what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Be with tomorrow. Your power, your presence, life, reality is happening now. It's not happening 2 hours from now. It's not happening yesterday, and it's not happening tomorrow. When we gather manna for the day and only enough for the day, we show that act of trust, that act of faith, that we know that tomorrow we will be provided for. So take care of what you need to take care of today. And don't worry about tomorrow. Yesterday, I took a cut from work, and I'd already taken a cut during the week, and it felt like it was irresponsible in a way to do, but I needed the day off. Like it was almost like I couldn't, like my physical body needed the rest. I wasn't feeling great. I wasn't feeling like in a great mental state, and I wanted to go ahead and prepare and ritual for the full moon. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do an act of faith here. I'm feeling led and guided to take the day off. And I felt led and guided to take the day off Wednesday. And it turned out like to be a really magical, whimsical, fun, positive day. Yesterday was more like healing and the rest that I needed. But it's like, okay, don't keep worrying about tomorrow's shift or what I'm going to do about this or that. It's like, as long as you're overall showing up the best you can, keep that faith, keep praying, keep believing, stay in the day, do the most that you can with the day that you have. Your power is in the now. And so the only thing that you can be really proficient with is how you treat the day at hand. So manna for the day. We don't need to gather all the manna for tomorrow. We're trusting that the manna will be there tomorrow. And the manna, in case you're like, I don't know what manna is, in the Old Testament, when the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years, they didn't have a source of food. They didn't have livestock. They didn't have farming. They were nomadic wanderers. And many times they would be in these desolate stretches with no way of getting any supplies. And so they were given manna from heaven. Manna, this food, that was the food of the angels, would appear on the ground every morning. And so the people would gather that manna every day, and that's what they would eat. But they were told, do not take more than what you need for the day. Take only what you need for the day and leave the rest for tomorrow, because tomorrow there will be fresh manna. And it was a constant effort and exercise for the Israelites to stay in faith, because they were in the wilderness, right? And that's metaphorical for us. We're in a kind of a wilderness, you know? We're just hanging out here with our dick in the wind in the middle of the cosmic universe, like, you know, like on the edge of, I don't know, the void. Like, every day is an act of faith. And when we get too caught up in, well, I'm gonna control this by hoarding and controlling my money and controlling this and controlling that, and I'm gonna, you know, save my manna, I'm gonna stockpile my manna. It's just reinforcing your fear, and it's weakening your faith. And so it's not to say that we don't have savings and we don't make investments. It's not the case, but it's the bigger picture. It's, what does that manna represent to you? It's the faith that there will be sustenance for the day, that there will be enough for today, and that tomorrow there will be enough tomorrow. All right, you all, I hope that you have a happy full moon. We can connect with the light of our higher self on that perfected timeline today. So don't get too discouraged if you have emotional ups and downs. Just observe them and try to listen to what they're trying to tell you. And just remember that your feelings need to be given context or explored. Questioned, because they could be misleading. If, like, for instance, say, like, if I just trusted my feelings this morning, I would have just been depressed all day. But I listened to my feelings and I was like, what are my feelings telling me? What do I need? You know, what has caused me to get in this state where I don't feel, you know, the way I would like to feel? And so that was helpful. All right, you guys, I will talk to y'all on the next one. Our next video will be our anchor message for the week, where we will be receiving our spiritual lessons. I'll probably make that video tonight after work, but I don't know when you'll be seeing this, so it probably has zero context to you. All right, you guys, ciao. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.